Welcome back with Level Up Games. Rom here, interviewing tonight's Modern Mondays winner, Tomas Hoffman. How are you doing tonight?
Good.
And what deck was the choice of tonight?
It was 4-color elementals. The only deck I will ever play until it is banned. Ren is banned probably before anything else.
I would say I get that sentiment. I definitely, if I wasn't playing some of the other decks I was playing, I love 4-color a lot myself, and I definitely get its position in the format. And kind of agree that if it is something to get banned from it, probably Ren in 6. That card definitely pushes
facilitates it. Without Ren, the deck is way weaker. So
exactly. Well, let's talk about some of the matches tonight. What was some of the easiest matchups tonight?
I unfortunately had to pair down into Titan and felt really bad. It was I had Elishnorn ahead of the curve and had a reprieve to bounce the Titan, so he didn't really get to do anything in those games. And then we played against Jund, and Jund I drew all of my removal on curve and didn't really make a difference, unfortunately, for that one. But the Jund deck looks scary when he gets to do the Tarmogoyf into Bowmaster into everything else it needs to do. But if it doesn't do that, then the deck is still Boomer Jund, still just Boomer Jund.
Just curving out, playing some dudes, killing some things.
Hoping for the best.
Looking at the top deck,
yeah,
hoping and praying.
Hoping a dream.
Fair enough. And what was the hard matchup tonight?
I played against Burn, and Burn is looking very good in the current format. If you're, like for me, if I don't have specifically Omnath or post board, I play Leyline of Sanctity because it's good against a couple of different matchups now. But if I don't have those cards, then I can just get ran down with like 4 Skullcrack and the Flaming Vortex, I think, or Whirling Vortex, one of the two. But being able to turn off life gain for 1 mana is really, really important in that matchup. Game 3 got to have the Leyline in opening hand, and unfortunately his hand did not really line up to beat that, so I ended up winning. But it was a nail biter in Game 2. Had to go put my ring to 4 count, and then Solitude my own creature before the damage happened to not die and stabilize from there, and it was very, very close. And then played against Merfolk for the win and for the interview, and it is scary when the Glassweaver, it's like super ward, like it counters the first thing that targets a creature you control, plus Fireliner on the field. It makes it very difficult to interact with the board. But without those, it's always just a creature deck. So if they go Lord, then it's terrifying. But if it's just little 1-drops, then it's not as scary.
Well, clearly, the Swarm of Merfolk did not stop you from getting the victory. So I'm glad you're able to eke out the win there. And I know I've talked to you outside about your thoughts on Modern before, and it sounds like you have a different opinion compared to others about the One Ring. I know with a lot of the interviews I've done personally so far, talking with folks, they've been vocal about the ring being very pushed and maybe seeing it could get banned, that sort of deal. And you seem to be not as strong on the One Ring. So what's your thoughts on it?
The ring is pushed. That's definitely the case, but there are a lot of ways to interact with it. It doesn't matter what you draw if your opponent has a way to pressure your life total before turn 4. So like Burn is really strong right now because you put so much pressure on your opponent's life total, and then you can just get killed in upkeep after you draw. Like it's like, okay, so put the ring trigger on the stack. It's like, okay, I can draw 2 more cards. They'll just bolt you to death, and it doesn't matter. And then between Orcish Bowmaster and Scam, and then you just have things like Tron and decks that are playing Karn just turning off the ring in general. It's like you get the protection, but there are ways to prevent that from happening, and people are going up on copies of Subtlety to prevent it from entering the battlefield in the first place. Subtlety doesn't do that, but the ways that you get to the stabilization points are a lot harder now based on the way the meta is shifting around the ring and the way that Scam is kind of ascending, which is really impressive to see. The deck was very close before, and now it's just skyrocketed in popularity.
Yeah, I think I agree with some of the things you said, because having played a little bit of this format, post Lord of the Rings, I kind of heard a lot of talk about the ring, but haven't quite hit that point where, I really lost the game against the ring, just because I think I've been playing decks that play well into it. Like you mentioned with Scam, just Scam is able to get under the ring in the way, like you mentioned with some of the more
the Scam hands are decks. Bonkers. Like the Double Grief hand is always the scariest, and then you get if you're playing a deck that is really weak to it, the turn 1 4/4 Double Striker is very intimidating. If you don't have exactly removal for it, which is Leyline Binding in my deck, or Solitude after they've Thoughtseized it, it's terrifying. Like the deck is very fast and very powerful, and a lot more consistent than it used to be.
Yep, and I think the Bowmaster's introduction gave it a really good curve rounder, because I think before that deck really was like all in on the turn 1 plays, kind of had an absent turn 2, sometimes even turn 3, depending on their hand. And then they were just on like oops, all 3 drops or above that were really good. But now Bowmasters feels like a really solid curve option for them that does put some good answers to the format.
Yep.
And but yeah, no, it's good to hear that from someone at least that doesn't think the ring is the almighty end-all be-all for this format.
Modern's great. Play Modern.
I would say Modern is great. I do think it's in a decent spot, despite what other people may think.
I've been told to push the Zerda agenda. Zerda should be errataed so that it doesn't include lands. Rob would like to be able to play it in his Urza Saga decks, because Urza Saga does not allow you to play Zerda as your companion, which is
that is an
Zerda fans have been robbed. It's not fair. Zerda fans need some justice.
For sure, that I guess that makes sense for all the Zerda fans out there.
All one Zerda fan.
Fair enough. Well, thank you for the time once again, and congratulations once more on getting the dubs. You have a good night.
You too.